we'll just have to figure them out.
Sure.
Okay.
So
Gary,
I have 2-3 things under new business.
Katie, according to our contracts here, it says all other gravel road projects, including berming and ditching, township pays 60%.
That's an old one. In February,
This is the one that was in our stuff, so.
Is that what was on the?
last year's, yeah, because we updated that ditch and deburm like a month or two after the comp agendas were done.
Okay. Because because actually what I did is when we got these, I looked at the contract I had in here, which must have still been the old one, and it did agree with what I had, so.
so it is 60/40.
It's 50/50.
It should be
It's 50/50, so these are wrong. Well, I hope they're being billed correctly.
Well, they were in
Yeah,
23, they were correct.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
okay, good to know.
So I know a few Amboy, friends of Amboy Township that are on board, so maybe I can talk to them.
So throw a little more work on you.
Every day.
Okay,
Mhm.
onward and upward.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have a couple things that I want to talk about. So the Rural Task Force that meets and decides how the federal money that we get allocated is going to be spent. When was the last time that they would have met?
A week ago?
It was in Jackson, wasn't
Yeah, we had it up on the 17th floor of the tower building in Jackson about a week ago.
Were any of you board members aware that that meeting was taking place?
it? Yeah, I was. I didn't.
Did you go to it?
I actually forgot about it. No, Bob went.
There isn't any change for this year. I mean, our Camden Road is
I
Camden.
understand. But what concerns me is, I'm starting my 4th year. And this was the case when I first got started as a road commissioner. There's a chunk of $800,000, $900,000 of federal money that comes to the Hillsdale County Road Commission every year.
That's not the
Not
same.
every year. That's about every third year.
Well, here again, if I really think there's what I'm gonna call a lack of information that comes about this whole process, that I think as board members, we need to be informed about, and we need to have the opportunity to participate in these meetings. And so going forward, we need to change the process. We need to know about the meetings beforehand. We need to have the opportunity to go. And then some kind of a report come back to the board about what kind of decisions are made to do with that money.
I think some of that's out to what, 26 right now? 24,
Might be 27
25.
now.
Yeah, 27, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, here again,
I usually go when I was busy.
And to be honest with you, and I can agree with you, have you guys come and you can have your input or whatever, but when it gets out those, other than like the year coming up or 1 or 2 years coming up where they've designated projects and those are already kind of in the works, most of them say various roads. So it's like the paver repair various roads is all it says until it gets closer, and it's just a placeholder and it might show the dollar amount of what's gonna be there, but there's no real
Designation.
project that far out. That says various roads. So.
okay.
And sometimes we have the rural task force here.
It rotates around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
So that's actually, it's Hillsdale and Jackson County. There aren't any other counties. Illinois involved in that too.
Yep.
It's
Region 2.
It's Region 2.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so my question is as us commissioners there, what is our input what would be our input, or what things are you deciding? Us being there and us voicing an opinion, is it gonna change anything? I've never been to one, so I guess that's what I'm asking. Who normally talks?
It would be more of a input on, based on the cycle of when you're gonna pick projects for like 1 to 2 years out. That's where you would have at least one knowledge of what's being talked about, or you could throw out options of, well, what about this section of road and this is why. It all has to meet certain criteria, because certain roads are eligible, certain roads aren't. And we actually just rounded up with that one just last week, I guess. Email came around from Lenway had set up a project, and come to find out when they got ready to let it, it wasn't an eligible road. So they had to cancel that and move it to like a different project. And so that had to go around to everybody on the committee and vote it and approve it, and but those things happen. But as far as picking projects, we can put input in there and
Do we have input to get more money coming to Hillsdale County, or someone else making those decisions?
that's pretty much the board's making that decision way ahead of time to say, okay, we got this much money, it's got to get divvied up, and it goes by road mileages and populations and everything. So every so many years Hillsdale gets this, every so many years Lenawee gets this, but in the meantime, it might be, well, Jackson isn't ready to do a project, so they'll move their money over to here, and we say, okay, then our money up for the next year will go back to you. And so it's a fluid
And we've done that.
thing. We've done it twice since I've been here.
So we don't have any input as to how
You
much
do.
money we get?
Oh, not how much, really.
No, it's what we're gonna do once we get allocated our share.
Yes.
And our share doesn't come every year.
No, but it's not necessarily like your share, like, oh, you're always gonna get
Right.
900,000.
Correct.
There's a little wheeling and dealing going on to where if we have a project that maybe takes $1 million, and it really wasn't supposed to get that much, one of the other counties is liable to say, okay, well, this year we'll push some of our money over to you so you can get your project done, but in 26, you're gonna push that money to us because we're gonna do a project here. And
there's
it's
some
very
horse
fluid.
trading.
It's very fluid.
You never actually lose the money, it's a matter of you're trading it for one period against another,
I guarantee you,
potentially.
Region 2 never loses any money. As to where it goes, at any given time could be fluid, but I don't have a problem at all inviting any one of you or all of you to the meetings. I mean, to be honest with you, they're quite boring.
So
How many times a year do you meet?
I think they only meet like twice a year.
Okay.
But
So at this last task force, what were the implications for Hillsdale County?
ours is Camden Road for next year, this coming year.
Okay.
And then like next year, there's a big project. I've actually got a spreadsheet in there for who's getting what in what year. Until it goes out, and then it goes out to those various roads kind of thing. Unless somebody has a specific plan, we know we're gonna do this plan in 27 because the water department needs to tear up their stuff, and we're gonna do it with them, So that sometimes there's a specific plan out there, but we as Hillsdale County don't have anything. Other than like right now it's Camden Road, so when it comes time for our various roads to come up again, we need to decide, what do you wanna see? What good chunk of federal aid eligible roads that we can put it on. Not all of our roads are federal aid eligible.
It's federal aid road.
And at that point, when it comes to that, cause from my view of it, the projects have been already laid out. You guys planned those before I got here.
Well, the Camden Road project, there's from M99 to 127. There's, what is it, 8 or 10 mile or something like that in that stretch?
Mhm.
It's about 10 miles. So this has been going on now, they've been doing 2 mile a year, so it's been going on for 5 or 6 years.
And this should be the last chunk.
Be the last chunk of it.
And then we need to look at another road. Do we need to, I don't know, territorial road
So
or.
that leads me to my next concern. They're sort of tied together, but they're not, is that, as I think about primary roads, and I don't know the ones in the northern half of the county to speak intelligently, but in the southern half of the county, I travel those frequently. There's probably at least 100 miles or more of primary road in the southern half of the county that need substantial work.
Yeah.
At the very least, chip seal and fog seal. And in some of them, a major reconstruct, like Camden Road, for example, from South Hillsdale Road to at least the village of Camden and maybe even to the state line is a good example. I mean, that first 2 or 3 miles east of Camden is horrible.
But the same holds true across the entire county.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
so there is other roads that.
Yeah. But part of my concern is, one of the things that came up in the discussion the other night with Wheatland Township is the supervisor makes the comment that, well, Waldron Road needs to be crushed and reshaped and totally repaved. Well, if you're looking at $400,000 to $500,000 a mile to do that, and there's about 20 miles of Waldron Road that needs serious work on it, from Prattville North clear to the Jackson County line, if we can only do 2 miles of that a year, that's 10 years to deal with that one road.
Right.
And that's no money for any of the rest of these that are.
That's why
that
for
are
some of
important.
those, especially a long road like that, you gotta pick out the worst ones that need to be crushed and crush them. If you can save it with an overlay and a chip seal, do it, cause you're never gonna get that kind of money to fix one long road like that, let alone all the other roads that need it. So it's a
And we was actually
balancing it.
south of 12 through the swamp and stuff there. They were predicting $1 million to $1.5 million a mile.
Yeah, I know
That
about
was
that, yeah,
That was
If
it.
we could get a permit from Eagle,
to do
yeah.
I don't know why it's so much for that, but unless it had to have fabric or something.
No base.
it. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
so are there any other things that we can do to get more federal or state money to help our primary road situations? Because if we just sit here and wait until they give it to us, none of us are gonna live long enough to see
Region.
these
if any
roads.
of you know of anything, I'll be more than happy to look for it, but
Region
every
2 is
single
just
county
hot.
in the state
Yeah.
is in the same boat. That's even more so, I mean, we complain about the primary roads, but the local roads don't have any funding source from the state.
No, we're glad to get what we can from the townships.
Oh, yeah,
And each year they seem to be going up a little more what they're putting in. Now, of course, everything else is going up too, so.
Yeah, the cost of everything is going up, so
That's the bad part.
they might be putting in more money, but we're getting less done.
Mhm.
Materials.
so I know one of the things that Kathy's talked about back in the summer, fall, and of course, we were right in the middle of construction season and Bob didn't have time to work on a long-range plan. And so that's part of what I'm sort of bringing up here too, is, I think all of us would like to see something, a 3 or a 5 year plan where we, particularly on the primary roads, where we plan to put money to do some things. And I think that would be very beneficial.
Well, hopefully, if we get the right person in for this project manager, they can work on a lot of that. And that'll be stemmed off of what's in road soft, the condition of the roads, the, phaser ratings and complaints that we get, and all that can be built off of that, but.
It's a lot of work, but it can be done.
So I think one of the things, that appears to me like we need to concentrate on is any of these roads that are in reasonably good shape yet, but yet need attention, we need to chip seal and fog seal them before
Well, that was
they go
actually
backwards
part of
anymore.
what the asset management plan was supposed to be, that hasn't been done yet. Is just that, the asset management for Michigan, we're going through TAMC, the general idea is keep your good roads good.
Yeah.
It costs less to do that. You gotta wait on the grants and the money to come through from federal sources or state sources to do the big projects. That's just the way everybody's at right now. It's try to keep your good roads good with money that you've got and hope and pray for the best to get chunks of money to fix those big roads. Yes, we need an asset management plan done. We need the long range plan done.
We are making progress.
Oh, yeah.
We're not dead in the water.
Slow though.
Oh, I know it.
And it always is slow.
And the bad part is, for many, many years in this state, the priorities have not been the roads. They've been everything else.
And they still aren't.
And then we have our bureaucracy that's fighting us at every turn.
And in many cases, it makes things more expensive.
We talk about being green and everything. It's this green is what it is.
It's green going out the door.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have anything else?
That's it.
That's it?
Isn't that enough for today?
Public comment.
If we get a good
Bill?
project manager.
I just sat here half laughing because the very same thing that Gary is talking about, we've been going for 20 years or better.
That's what I was gonna say.
When it comes right down to it, the only time anybody at Lansing gives a real crap about the roads is election time. And they just tell us how bad they are and how they're gonna fix them, and then they crawl right back into their hole and start kicking the can a little farther.
Our governor did that. Fix these damn roads. But I don't see them fixed.
I
Yeah,
remember
but-
years ago,
The state highways, they put some money on them.
I remember years ago, there was a legislator, I can't remember where he was from, but he was on, I think 96, and there was a snowstorm, and they got out there, it was, the road wasn't plowed, and we've got to do something about this.
You know, there's no money, there hasn't been money.
Not enough money. There's money,
Right.
there's not enough money.
Right.
Taxes go up
There's what?
every year.
We have money, but there's not enough money to do what we need to do.
Well, you know, we used to, when I first started, you could have planned, we had a couple roads we were planning to fix up and pave. Some of them got to the point all we had to do is pave them, but there wasn't enough money to do it and maintain anything
Right.
else.
Right.
We're barely maintaining with the money we got.
And the thing of it is, as much as everybody thinks there's something magic out there that's gonna happen and all the roads are gonna get fixed, unless the state comes up with funding.
Well, and there's a lot of people that, because they see how much money we get, and they think that we're wasting it. And they don't realize the cost. The costs have went up too.
How many calls you get? How come you can't scrape my road?
Oh, we don't get those calls.
It's just a little bit here and, yeah, but there's 1,600 miles of those little bits.
It's the same story.
And you can't get to every mile at the same time.
And if we're plowing your road, we're not plowing that guy's over there.
Anybody else? Doug?
Yes, I did report to the city council at their last meeting, an update, Bob gave me information on the man hours that was spent. 420 man hours regular time, 1,260 overtime hours when the storm came through. And how the crews worked from 4 in the morning to 7 at night, all the weekend, and so on and so forth. And when I gave that report, it was very well received, and I wanted to let you know that I had talked about that, and I appreciate the information. It was good stuff, good stuff.
We noticed a little difference in that. Our roads was pretty quicker this year. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So,
We've had really good response from the townships this year. Really good.
Usually it took 3 days or so, this year's the day after. So, appreciate it.
Anybody else? Any board members? Huh? Nothing? All right, we could stand adjourned.
I guess I do have one quick.
Okay, unadjourned.
I've got that text chain that I tried to send you guys, and you're on it too, Gary, but you probably just don't get it. When I send out updates, do you have any issue if I add Doug to it?
No,
No?
absolutely not.
much appreciated.
That way, when I send out something saying what we're doing,
And then
he
keep them up
kinda
to
hears
date,
it.
keep the board up to date.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it.
You might get things dinging at 3 in the morning.
You really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I would say that I texted Bob going into the storm saying, hey, what's the plan? So if I get phone calls, texts, or emails, I can answer it, and Bob got back with me and let me know the plan. I truly appreciate that because we do get text, phone calls, and emails on it.
So that being said, just remember when you're replying on this, he's on it.
So you can't say nothing bad about Doug.
About the commissioners.
About Hillsdale County.
It's okay, I heal fast.
Okay, well, as long as we know that.
Well, I know he texted me and said the trucks are gonna, like Friday, trucks would be starting at 4 in the morning. I was plowing my drives around the storage buildings, at 4:30, the truck went by plowing. So I knew they started at 4.
The guys did a good job, I think.
I think it did
Yeah, they
excellent
did.
job.
They were out and about and trying to get things done.
They put a lot of hours in on that weekend. A lot of hours.
And people need to realize that a plow truck can't go 55 miles an hour.
Some of them do, we gotta work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for the most part, I think everything went good. They kept them as clear as we could with the staffing and the equipment that we have.
Yep.
And
All right, we can stand adjourned. Thank you.